I'm going to say something true, but so controversial that you need to be sitting down when you hear it. There would be no worldwide lockdown if the elites were winning. The global elites have been trying to take over the world step by step since the beginning of time. The previous 2 centuries have been good to them, but their strategy has begun to fail, which is why they have jumped on this non-pandemic in a desperate gamble to win it all. They've run out of time. Their gamble is failing. Unfortunately, for you and me, there is suffering ahead for all of us. Welcome to the Shockcast. I'm John Little, recording on a warm evening in southern Taiwan on Saturday, September 5th, 2020. Before going on, hit like, subscribe, and whack that little bell. It helps, really. Also, subscribe to The Shock Letter for free at theshockletter.com. Find my posts on Facebook and Twitter, and read my 2 books, also for free, When Jacob Returns and Ezekiel's Fire. You can find links for all of that below, and please keep praying for this ministry. I need God's direction every day to say and write what needs to be said and written. And before we get back to today's topic, an important note. Due to recent attacks on the OmegaShock server, I've had to spend most of the past 9 days doing nothing but programming to neutralize the attackers and fighting with my web host provider. Lord willing, the hard part is over, but you will notice a few changes, such as a different subscription link and a new contact page. Those of you who have Yahoo email accounts have been blocked by Yahoo, and I'm working on getting them to stop that. There are truly evil people in the world, and it takes a lot of work to stop them. Okay, now let's get back to the main topic. The desperate gamble. Why the elites are trying to lock us down. Have you wondered why the global elites chose to do so much damage to the world economy by locking everything down? Do you think that they would have done this if they felt that they were winning? Right. I don't think so either. Throughout all of human history, rich people have tried their best to gain more wealth and more power by any and all means possible. There was no trick too dirty and no scheme too awful if it meant more wealth and more power. I've seen this personally with my own eyes, and it's all over the pages of history. The Renaissance that began in northern Italy brought in more opportunities for wealth and power. Then the new world of North and South America were discovered, and the wealthy and powerful rushed across the Atlantic. Growing wealth helped create the Age of Enlightenment, which then spawned bloody revolutions. Wealth grew even more with the first industrial revolution powered by coal, followed by the second industrial revolution powered by oil. Then came the wars. Wars have always been started by greed. Every war and revolution has been over greed. Greed for more wealth, greed for more power. The American Revolution, the American Civil War, the Boxer Rebellion, the Opium Wars, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, and the more wealth that was created, the more greedy the wealthy became, and more wars. The greed was never ending, and the greedy were growing in number, and they fought amongst themselves. The landed aristocracy fought the merchant class, who fought the industrialists, who fought the slave owners, who fought the industrialists again, who fought the bankers, who fought the... and on, and on, and on. Every faction struggling to grow their own power and wealth at the expense of the other. However, they all had a common enemy, you and me. And as time went on, we became more and more of a threat to their power. Over time, our knowledge and understanding improved. We picked up dangerous ideas like liberty, equality, and personal rights. Better and better technology gave us more free time to think and ponder. We hired more teachers, more scientists, and more librarians. We printed books and read them. The wealthy had their own ideas about how all this should work, so they funded those that they agreed with, like Charles Darwin and Karl Marx. They founded publishing companies like the Lucifer Trust, a name they eventually changed to Lucis Trust. They founded universities and libraries. When radio became popular, they funded radio productions, then movies, then television, then the internet. The wealthy had their finger in everything, and you can see a snapshot of what I mean in a video that YouTube keeps trying to take down. It's titled JFK to 9/11, Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. The link to that video is in the description below or at the end of this Shockcast. That video is only one narrow slice of the whole picture, with one big error. The writer and narrator, Richard Connolly, believes that religion is also a rich man's trick. I'm sorry, Richard. Only false religion is a rich man's trick. True religion is the enemy of rich men, but I digress. The problem is that the wealthy always want more and more power, and the powerful always want more and more wealth. They have used every trick and scheme known to man to gain more power and more wealth. That's why we had secret organizations like the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Knights Templar, the Skull and Bones, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, and on and on and on. That's why we have political parties and political action groups. That's why we have political lobbies and lobbyists. That's why campaign funding keeps getting bigger and bigger, and all of it has brought more and more corruption. Yeah, greed creates corruption, lots and lots of corruption. As economies grew, wealth increased and new forms of wealth were created, and alongside all of it came ever-increasing corruption. And keeping that corruption secret eventually became a serious problem for the elites. The elites have discovered that it is becoming ever more difficult to manipulate the average person into believing the tales that they created. When the steam-powered printing press gave the average person access to knowledge, they were unable to completely control it. When the average person was able to listen to broadcast radio, they were unable to completely control it. Only with television did they have any real success. Then came the internet. The wealthy were late in their attempt to control the internet. They didn't understand it, and many of them still don't. And with the internet, the story of their corruption has become far too visible. Too many criminals are not going to jail. Too many bankers are getting away with murder. Too many politicians are showing their price tags. Too many industries are getting protected and bailed out. And too many lies are being questioned. That last one is the most important. The lies peddled by the global elites don't make a lot of sense anymore. Yes, a lot of people still believe their lies, but far too many are questioning them, especially the climate change lie. They first called it global warming, but too many realized that the world wasn't getting warmer, so they changed the name to climate change. But change is pretty normal, so they're having problems with that one too. There just aren't enough of us who believe that a tasteless, odorless gas like CO2 that is vital to plant life is causing the world to get warmer. We don't believe it, and that scares them. So, when another opportunity arose to terrify us into submission and ram through greater control of our lives, they jumped for it. It was one last throw of the dice to gain control and preserve their power. And they failed. Oh, I know that the mainstream media is still pushing the pandemic narrative. Your idiot neighbor is too. But there are far too many people who have not joined them, and there is a distinct sound of desperation in their voices. Particularly Klaus Schwab, the founder and head of the World Economic Forum. Klaus is one of the most prominent underlings of the global elites. He seems to act like he's one of them, but I doubt that he is. However, he is a very intelligent man who is deeply connected to the most powerful people in the world. So if he isn't a member of the elites, he is at least their voice. Just by the way that he talks, Klaus Schwab and his World Economic Forum are in full panic mode. If you want to hear him yourself, go to their webpage for the launch of their Great Reset Initiative. And it's on weforum.org/great-reset. Big thanks to Tony at A Minute to Midnight for pointing that video out. The main video on that page is 79 minutes long and full of nonsense. But some of the nonsense is chilling, except for Prince Charles. He was pathetic. But all the panelists in that video were just window dressing for Schwab himself. Here's what he said.
Thank you, Adrian. It is obvious that we are in the midst of the most severe crisis the world has experienced since World War II. 75 years ago, countries and people came together to shape the post-war global order, which brought us decades of peace, increased global cooperation, and prosperity to hundreds of millions of people around the world. The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. It has laid bare the fundamental lack of social cohesion, fairness, inclusion, and equality. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system for the need for the post-corona era. We have a choice to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today. Polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives. In short, we need a great reset. We have to mobilize all constituents of our global society to work together. We must not miss this unique window of opportunity. I think the most important issue is to change our mindsets, and instead of being so much focusing on short-termism as we did in the past, we have to keep in mind the long-term perspectives and the long-term prosperity. This leads me, for example, to the need, and the World Economic Forum is very much engaged, to elaborate a comprehensive system of ESG, environmental, social, and good governance criteria for companies. It should be a must for companies to report not only on financial success, but how they contribute to our environmental health, to social cohesion, and exercise good governance. That's only one aspect. So to answer your question related to Davos, we will now start a quite high number of task forces to look at all the different issues, and we will present all those ideas to the people assembled in Davos, to the leaders from business and from the political community. But at the same time, we will make Davos very different, very open. We will mobilize our 10,000 global shapers in over 400 cities around the world to organize a twin summit and to interact continuously with those assembled in Davos to ensure that we do not fall back to old recipes, but that we really look at forward-oriented solutions. My question to those people would be, what is the alternative? And what we are doing to a certain extent is a betrayal of the next generation. If we do not act, if we don't take our responsibility in face of history. So my response would be, instead of being cynical and critical, why don't you come and you engage? We need all the forces. We need everybody on board. And this initiative will really integrate everybody in the world who has a voice and who has particularly an innovative proposal how to improve livelihood. Today is the beginning of a global mobilization effort to rally all forces behind this Great Reset initiative. And we have seen all of the support during this session. We do not want to do just patchwork on our old system. It's not enough to change a few policies to address short-term issues. What we need is a change of mindsets. It came out in the discussion of business models, of lifestyles, in order to achieve a more cohesive, more collaborative, more resilient world. It must be a comprehensive approach to shape the future, integrating all organizations and people with innovative ideas. And we have seen many ideas during the last hour. Our role at the World Economic Forum is to act as an independent and impartial platform open to all stakeholders. We want to mobilize any organization, any person in the world. It's not just one-off event what we are doing. I think it's a process. It's a process which integrates many facets, contributions from the governments, the international organizations, business, companies, the young generation. For example, we are running this week the Ocean Summit, which will be an essential element with tens of thousands of participants. We have the Sustainable Markets Dialogue under the leadership of His Royal Highness and myself, which will convene on a regular basis. And the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in January 21, which will serve as a global summit devoted to the Great Reset. This summit will bring the decision makers physically to Davos, but it will be interconnected with the virtual Twin Summit, driven by the young generation, our global shapers. They will integrate over 400 hubs into the dialogue of Davos and ensure that the Global Reset Initiative is really forward-looking and takes into account the voices of all who are left behind. I'm mindful, and I may close with that. When I stood 21 years ago together with Nelson Mandela in Davos on the stage, and when he said, we should lay the scourge of racism, of divisiveness to rest. This requires strong democratic institution and the will of everybody and a culture of compassion. None of this is possible without a strong economy and a cohesive society. I would like to thank again the Prince of Wales, Secretary General Guterres, Director General Georgieva, and all you panelists for launching this Great Reset initiative. It's a tremendous responsibility which we have. There is no other way. We have to live up to the expectations which we have created, and we will do so. Thank you very much for joining this important Great Reset Initiative launch.
Sieg Heil, mein Führer. I don't want to joke about his accent, but the way that he talks sounds a lot like Adolf Hitler. And no, I'm not talking about his accent. I'm talking about what he said. And his words are absolutely chilling. But listen to more than just his words. Listen to how he talks. It should not take you long should not take you long to see that he is deeply unhappy and genuinely fearful about the future. Yes, he sees an opportunity, but he's not enjoying it. Oh, and one other thing. It should be clear that the elites are absolutely clueless. They literally have no idea how to get from where they are to where they want to be. They don't know how to turn society back to where they want it. They don't know how to manage diminishing resources. They don't know how to reorganize government. And they especially don't know how to convince people to believe what they say. Up to this point in time, the only thing that they've been able to do is lie about the problem. They said that the problem was global warming. Then they said that it was climate change. Now they've tried to say that the problem is a virus. What will they say next? You can be absolutely sure that what they tell us will be a lie. And they have put so much time, effort, and money into their lies that they are unable to turn around and tell us the truth. The truth that they are hiding. What are they hiding? The real decline in energy. It is the one thing that they will not and cannot talk about. If they do, their world and all that they have worked for will fall apart. If the availability of coal, oil, and natural gas declines, it will be the end of their new world order. And that is the one dream that they just cannot give up. Their problem is that they cannot do anything about it. They have already tried to convince people to reduce carbon emissions, and everyone ignored them. They made a gigantic hullabaloo over polar bears, rising sea levels, and cow farts, and no one paid them serious attention. Yes, articles were written, speeches were made, laws were passed, they even spent money. But nothing actually happened. Why? Because deep down, no one believed them. Then along came a bat virus that they grabbed onto like it was their last hope. And maybe it is. Maybe this virus is their last opportunity to salvage a new world order from the wreckage of their hopes and dreams. Unfortunately for this batch of clueless elites, they will crash and burn. And their fall will mean the collapse of civilization as we know it. What rises from the ashes will be a whole new world order, something that Jesus and the prophets talked about. And it will not be a fun time to be alive. So let me end with how I started this. The elites would not be pushing a global lockdown if they thought that they were winning. That's it for this Shotcast. Again, hit like, click subscribe, and whack that little bell. And please, share this video or the MP3. After you have done all that, leave a comment. I like seeing what you have to say about what was said here. Your input is welcome. Then help keep Omega Shock and the Shotcast alive. There's a link below that can help you do that. I did this for free for 8 years. Now I can't. Also, subscribe to the Shock Letter at theshockletter.com and read my books for free. When Jacob Returns and Ezekiel's Fire. You do not want to get caught by what is coming.